The statement still stands.
Welcome to the Hall of the Guildmasters. Neither of them know the topic we're discussing today, which will make it great for a conversation. So, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Alright, today we are talking about your favorite role-playing game. We're going to be talking about 5th edition D&D. How to make combat interesting, okay? And when I say combat interesting, I'm not talking about just like the fighting, I'm talking about the environment. What can you put in your environment, in the arena the players are battling in, to spice up
Before we get any further, fire. Continue.
Yes, fire is always good. Yeah, when there's more perilous things for you or the enemies, because, you know, if you get to push an enemy into something, that makes it that much better,
Yeah.
whether it's fire or a lake or off a cliff.
Yeah, into a pit. I
So,
don't know. Might be wrong.
I like, every time I sketch up, you know, like a simple map just to kind of give players reference on, like, where they're at, you know, in, like, before the battle begins, it's like, alright, you know, you guys scout out, I'll give you, like, just draw something up real quick. I'll try and come up with, alright, here's a couple things in the area, and then just see if the players do something with it. Like,
Right.
you don't have to do more, that could be all the explanation they need, or if they're like, hey, I want to look at that, alright, I'll tell you more about it, you know, but
Yeah.
otherwise it's like so what are some hazards, or maybe not hazards, just things you could put in to, you know, add depth or complexity to your combat?
Definitely explain. Over-explaining will never hurt.
Yeah.
Talking too much will.
Yeah.
But over-explaining
Ooh,
will
yes,
never hurt.
yes, that is very true.
I mean, to be honest, you can really make the scenario better with fire. I mean, I'm going to stand with what I said before because there's so many. It's such a great tool. I mean, clothing can get lit on fire. Weapons, shields can be heated up. Armor can be heated up.
Oh, yeah.
You can boil water. You can steam somebody. You can use it for cover. It's crazy. The thing that I think that is nice to add to combat is variety in how the combat can be approached during the combat. So if you got a ranged member of the team that's engaged with, say, they're fighting a boss or several enemies, and you have the upfront guys, you know, the tanks, you're going to have maybe clerics, paladins, fighters, your ranged people, wizards, warlocks, sorcerers, rangers, give them options other than one piece of cover or several pieces of the same cover. Let there be pathways around the combat.
Yeah.
Because they're not only good at range, they can be good at flanking. Rogues is a perfect example of this. Rogues are fast, monks are fast. You can use them to get around the enemies by making them use cover, tunnels, pathways, anything outside of the combat environment.
Literally just changing the elevation of some terrain. You know, there's a ridge here, there's a valley here, you know.
Even depth can give you that path.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really does spice just having elevation or angles of attack that can't be achieved in normal flat plane combat.
Right.
Yeah, definitely, like, maybe even just a few archer towers or
Yeah.
something simple at a gate. Well, how well is the gate built? Well, there's a few rickety boards down that way. You might be able to pry them open if you want to sneak past. Or, I mean, there's some tall bushes or trees that almost branch across the gate or the wall.
Right. And two, while you're explaining these, you know, this is a thing for me, is always making sure the players get involved. One of the easiest dumb ways you could do that, group perception checks, group investigation checks.
Yeah.
Everybody roll a perception check. Yeah, it doesn't matter. People are going to be happy to roll. You know, like, it does not matter. You know, if someone rolls a nat 20, make them feel good, you know, but like, everyone wants to, and even if they all roll garbage, you know, you could still give them something, but be like, you know, that might not be all you see, you know, just to give the treasure hunter in your party that extra little, ooh, I gotta, I was gonna say, for me, personally, two thoughts come to mind. I don't know why, I just love adding tar pits in. I don't know what environment they belong in, but like boiling tar, like because first off, I love explaining, you know, when a player pushes like a goblin or another fighter into, you know, you see his skull like sizzling and popping, and his skin's just like, you know, like falling off his face. Or if the player's like, I'm gonna dip my sword in it and then stab you, you know, like, or maybe it's like, hey, we need to cauterize a wound, you know, rub a little boiling tar on. I don't know, you know, you can have a lot of fun with how that. Yeah, same with fire. Yeah, but the other thing too is like, you know, it's just kind of the way it goes. You know, the default setting a lot of people think of usually is like trees. Your forest. You're in a forest. Ranger's in a forest. You're in a forest. Druid. You know, whatever. But explain the forest. You know, what makes it special? You know, is it a really dense forest? Is there light coming through
Is there a lot of undergrowth?
the
What kind of
canopy?
trees?
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you know, is there like a layer you could, like, they're so close the monk could run across, or the road, you know, or maybe there's some fallen trees, like maybe there was recently a fire and there's no, like, everything's burned,
Yeah.
or like, you know, there's lightning strikes, so some of the trees are like fallen, you know, in kind of a crisscross,
Yeah.
maybe super overgrown, like whatever that you could take, just make it like add a level of
Yeah, I mean,
pizzazz.
there's one thing that combat that it seems to be always missing, is the ability to lure the enemy. You might be able to lightly lure the enemy, and what I mean by that is there might be a lot of enemies in the room, or in the area you're at. You might be able to have one character go, "Hey," and then, you know,
Yes.
one spots you and chases you, but you never have time to set up traps. There's never enough time to, like, thoroughly plan out what you're going to do. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
always, we're kind of just going in and brute forcing whatever it is. We're going to figure it out. We might be able to use tactics during the mission, but there's not any pre-planning. So the ability to add pre-planning to the combat, so they enter the combat zone, but they're not entered in combat because there are things stopping them from doing so. Maybe the enemies aren't there yet, but they know they're going to be.
Right.
There's several different options you could take, but that is something you can spice up your combat with, is allowing your party members to talk about, you know, maybe want to make a deadfall trap. Okay,
Yeah.
we want them to enter the door, and then maybe the door collapses behind them because we have
Or you got a simple pulley system set up to drop on them when they walk through.
tripwire traps, anything. That adds so much, because those enemies come in and they would be hard face to face. But if you can plan out where they're going to be coming in at, and then stopping that route or constricting that route, they're outmatched.
Yeah.
They're outmanned.
Yeah, there's usually not a lot of tactics, I would say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if,
most of
like
the
you
time.
said, if you can plan something out, that'd be insane.
And two, you know, it's part of it too is like sometimes you just have players that are like, they think they're just supposed to run in, you know, into everything, and so like maybe figuring out ways of like, you look across and you see 50 of these guys, and it's like, you know, what, you know, or and maybe if they try that, all right, they just died, you know, like or they're a prisoner, and the rest of the party has to figure something out, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that thought, especially like, you know, maybe parts of it, like you're on your way to some place and you come across an enemy camp, and it could be part of the main quest, it could be a side quest, you know, it could be a camp of orcs or trolls or just other people, it could be like a battle camp, but it's like, oh, if we were able to cripple these guys,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, you don't even have to plan an attack on the camp where you can ruin supply lines. Make
Yes.
your DM
Yeah.
go into depth about
Yeah.
you ruining
Yeah.
their supply lines, making these guys hungry, starving, cold.
DMs love questions.
Yeah.
Good ones, you know. You ask them questions, they'll explain, you know. They'll come up with something cool for you to.
I mean, I think we have the perfect example, us three right now, for how tactics changed the engagement with enemies when we fought the Death Knight. My character was only level 6.
Forgot about that.
He was not nerfed except for one attack, and we beat him. And I think I was the only one that took damage the entire time.
Yeah, we beat the ever living crap out of this pompous dude sitting on his golden throne.
Challenge rating 17. I'm level 6.
Yeah.
He was level 10, and I think he was level 13. And we
No, we were less than that. Oh my gosh, yeah, this was before we were. Yeah, we didn't have.
And
Regardless,
max 10.
Yeah.
we decimated him.
Yeah,
That's
because he wanted to stay on his chair, and I'm a Goliath barbarian. You know, our other friend Goliath barbarian. I'm pretty sure he's a barbarian.
Yeah.
And so it was like, all right, this dude doesn't want to get out of his chair. We're just gonna each grab an arm and keep him in the chair, and then you just like, hey, you know what? You can't talk now.
Yeah.
You know, what was it? Silence.
Yeah.
You cast on, so he couldn't do spells, and you went around behind him and was like, hey, battering ram. Whoa!
Then I put a crowbar in his eye and his face mask.
Yeah, and then I tied a freaking grappling hook around it and then drug him around the room.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
using the pillars to weave him through the room,
Oh
so
my
he
gosh.
couldn't get up.
Yeah,
He
he
dragged
was-
through the room. And
He never got to draw his sword.
No.
I think he got to cast like shatter or something
Yeah.
on himself.
Well,
Like,
he cast twice. Once.
yeah.
yeah,
And he was like on the ground. You know, like,
when you're looking at enemies for your party, know your party skill level, know if they want to plan or if they're good at tactics, because honestly, the combat rating, the challenge rating for those monsters in the Monster Manual and War
Yeah.
Crimes, I'm pretty sure are just a one-on-one or a 4-on-1 battle. So
Yeah.
it would just be up front, flat plane, no cover,
Yeah.
no terrain. It takes 4 members to kill that guy in that scenario.
Yeah.
But you give pillars, you give cover, you give roots, you give time.
You give hazards.
You can fight anything at any level. You just know.
And
you have to know
A
where.
great
to be
example,
from.
if you've never looked it up, Google Tucker's kobolds. That's a great example of just one of the weakest creatures in the game. Guerrilla tactics decimating parties.
Yeah,
Like just
high level parties
Yeah.
because they tactized when the parties came in.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Have 2 of them attack at the same time. Maybe there's 2 rogues
Yeah.
fighting next to each other, or
Yeah.
maybe the rangers right behind the rogue as the rogue's darting up into.
Yeah.
And he shoots the guy right next to the rogue, so the rogue can get to the further back person.
Yeah.
Yeah, provide cover. I mean, it's pretty much basic combat principles, but used in D&D instead
Yeah.
of just brute force
Yeah.
and simple tactics. You know what I mean? You want to be able to expand your knowledge base on how you can defeat enemies. So,
And if your DM doesn't like it,
that
just
guy-
keep doing it.
Yeah. 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 I was
Make
just
him have
saying.
to think about it.
And it all falls, especially with combat, and I'd like to reference, we did another video on improvised weapons to really add pizzazz to your combat. If you haven't seen that, check that out. But I mean, again, with the environment, if you're a DM, the more you give the players to use, the more they can use. If you're like, I wish my party was doing that, give it to them.
Yeah.
Give them the environment, give them the terrain, come up with like a couple hazards that are neutral, but like maybe there's someone in the party where you're like, man, I wish they would, come out of their shell, or they would do more. It's like, all right, what is their class? If it's a ranger, if it's a ranger, give them some tree or some like high point that they can sit back and really use their, if there's a monk, if it's a rogue, oh my gosh, if it's a rogue, give them shadows, man. Give them something to use, and
Terrain. Anything.
Yeah.
Anything that can break line of sight. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And again, you don't have to follow the core like half cover, 3/4 cover, full cover, half shadow, full shadow, who's looking at who. Just roll with it.
Yeah.
If they come up with something cool, roll with it. Yeah.
If you're having fun, the DM's probably having fun too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moral of the story, just friggin' have fun.
Yeah, I agree.
It's all narration and how you explain or ask questions.
Yep.
I like
Is that good?
Mhm.
All right. Till next time.
Yep.